Edmon Rampart, a human male, quickly climbed the ranks to become a Vice Admiral in the newly formed Galactic Empire. Eager to prove himself, Rampart played a key role in introducing chain codes and recruiting soldiers for the Imperial Army through a project called War-Mantle. He believed that loyal recruits would be more valuable to the Empire than clone troopers who served the Republic, fueling his confidence in his new approach. On Kamino, in the city of Tipoca, Rampart proudly presented his first elite squad to Governor Wilhuff Tarkin. Led by the skilled clone trooper Crosshair, their squad impressed Tarkin, who handed over full control of the project to Rampart. But Rampart's orders didn't stop there. He was also responsible for the destruction of Tipoca City and the takeover of Kamino's cloning technology for the Empire. After returning to Coruscant, Rampart pushed for the Imperial Defense Recruitment Bill, aiming to officially replace clone troopers with regular soldiers. However, his plans fell apart when the Imperial Senate began investigating his involvement in the destruction of Tipoca City. Despite claiming he was just following orders, Rampart was arrested and sent to work in the harsh mines of Erebus. His story didn't end there. Clone Force 99, needing the information about Tantus Base, rescued Rampart from the mines. With his help, they located the secret complex on Wayland. Unfortunately, his luck ran out. He was captured by the very empire he once served and was later killed by Nala Se while trying to uncover data on a mysterious project called Necromancer. Today, we're going to take a look at the life of Edmon Rampart. Before we get started, make sure you like the video if you like it and subscribe for more like this. Alright, let's get into it. Biography. After the Clone Wars ended and the Galactic Empire replaced the Galactic Republic in 19 BBY, Edmon Rampart took on the role of Vice Admiral in the new regime. Eager to solidify the Empire's power, Rampart played a key role in the transition from Republic to Empire. One of his major tasks was implementing chain codes, a new identification system for all citizens. He even issued a holographic message that was broadcasted at Imperial chain code posts, informing people that these codes would allow them to exchange their now worthless currency for Imperial credits. Rampart was also in charge of Project War-Mantle, a plan to replace the Republic's clone troopers with a new army of conscripted and volunteer soldiers. As part of this project, he formed the first elite squad, made up of 4 top recruits. Rampart traveled to Tipoca City on Kamino to showcase this squad to Governor Wilhuff Tarkin. During their meeting, Tarkin, who was already observing the enhanced clone commander Crosshair with the Kaminoan Nala Se, praised Rampart for the successful rollout of chain codes. Rampart then briefed Tarkin on the importance of establishing the Empire's foundation and the role of the elite squad, which was set to train under Crosshair's command. Future of Clone Trooper Program. Project War-Mantle. As they made their way to the hangar to meet the squad, Rampart emphasized the need for more soldiers in the Imperial ranks. Nala Se, the Kaminoan scientist, argued that their cloning facilities could still produce highly effective clones, but Rampart was convinced that soldiers who enlisted by choice would be more loyal to the Empire. When they reached the hangar, Rampart introduced the elite squad, suggesting that they could benefit from training under experienced clones. Later, while observing the squad during a medical examination, Kaminoa Prime Minister Lama Su voiced doubts that recruits could ever match the military skills of clone troopers. Rampart disagreed, valuing the loyalty of willing recruits over sheer proficiency. To resolve the debate, Tarkin proposed a real test for the squad, wanting to see their performance in battle. Rampart eagerly agreed, and Tarkin ordered the squad, along with their clone commander, to be sent to Onderon to eliminate a camp of insurgents led by Saw Gerrera. When the squad's shuttle returned to Kamino after the mission, Rampart and Tarkin were there to meet them in the hangar. Tarkin noted that the squad had lost a trooper, ES-01, who had been executed by Crosshair for refusing to kill civilians under Gerrera's protection. Despite this, Crosshair reported that the camp had been successfully neutralized, though Gerrera himself had escaped. Rampart reminded Tarkin that losses are a part of battle, but the mission's success proved the potential of his initiative. Impressed by the results, Tarkin entrusted Rampart with full control of the project and left Kamino. Time on Kamino. After settling into Tipoca City, Rampart had a meeting with Prime Minister Lama Su, firmly demanding to be kept informed about all activities on Kamino from that point forward. Their discussion was cut short when Crosshair arrived with urgent news. The Scrapper Guild on the junk planet Braca had detected a power surge on a wrecked Jedi cruiser. Sensing potential trouble, Rampart instructed Crosshair to send a scout team, but Crosshair requested more reinforcements, revealing that the source of the surge was Clone Force 99, a group of rogue clone commandos who had previously escaped from Kamino. Lama Su, valuing the skill of these clones, urged Rampart to capture them alive if possible. However, Rampart, uninterested in dealing with clone deserters, dismissed Lama Su's concerns and coldly ordered Crosshair to eliminate the rogue unit if they were found. Occupation of Ryloth. Uncertain support. Rampart, along with Crosshair and the elite squad, traveled to the outer rim planet of Ryloth, where the native Twi'lek population was uneasy about the Empire's military presence. The Republic had previously promised to withdraw its forces after the Clone Wars, but the Empire had different plans. In the capital city of Lesu, Rampart held a public gathering at the Capitol building, standing alongside Senator Oren Free Ta, Twi'lek Resistance General Cham Syndulla, Cham's wife Eleni, and Captain Hauser of the local clone battalion. During the event, Crosshair reported that Cham's lieutenant, Gobi Glee, and other insurgents were present in the crowd. Rampart expressed his disappointment to Ta over the apparent lack of support from the Twi'leks toward the Empire. Ta tried to reassure him, claiming that the people welcomed the Empire's presence. When Rampart asked Cham for his opinion, the general expressed his desire for peace on Ryloth. As Senator Ta attempted to rally the Twi'leks with a speech about how the Empire would bring peace and prosperity, he failed to win their support. Cham stepped in, reminding the crowd of how the clones had helped free their world from the Separatists, earning the Twi'leks' respect. After the speech, Rampart commented to Eleni that it was unfortunate their daughter Hera wasn't present. Eleni replied that Hera had other interests. Later, in a meeting with Ta and Crosshair, Rampart expressed surprise at Cham's cooperation given his reputation. Ta, however, worried about Cham's influence over the people. Crosshair saw Gobi Glee as the bigger threat, but Ta insisted that both needed to be dealt with. Rampart agreed that everyone had a role to play. Later, Rampart gave Cham and Eleni a tour of a new Dunium refinery, claiming it would help rebuild areas damaged by the Clone Wars. When Eleni expressed concern about the facility's military focus, Rampart countered that the Republic had left Ryloth vulnerable, and the Empire was taking steps to protect the planet's interests. He then excused himself after receiving a message from one of Crosshair's squad members, arresting insurgents. Rampart received a tip from Crosshair that Gobi Glee, young Hera, and resistance fighter Saren were on a secret mission to smuggle weapons. Crosshair had cleverly attached a homing beacon to their ship, and upon their return, he shot the ship down. The trio was swiftly captured, and Rampart arrived on the scene with Senator Ta and a group of clone troopers. Rampart expressed his disappointment at seeing Hera involved in such activities, while Ta angrily argued that this was clear evidence of Cham's plans to rebel against the Empire. However, Rampart disagreed, pointing out that the public wouldn't see it that way, and technically Cham hadn't committed any crime yet. Hera, Gobi, and Saren were taken away in a turbo tank, while Crosshair reported spotting more of Gobi's insurgents on a nearby ridge. Rampart told them to wait and let them report back to their leaders, but be ready to act if needed. As Rampart's convoy, consisting of a Juggernaut and Bark speeder escorts, moved out, they were ambushed by Cham, Eleni, and other resistance fighters. Concerned about the lack of reinforcements, Rampart questioned Hauser, who explained that their communications had been cut. Ta ordered the troopers to defend them, but Rampart instructed Hauser and his men to stand down and surrender, assuring the horrified senator that this was the best way to keep everyone alive. With Hera reunited with her parents, the insurgents debated what to do with Ta, Rampart, and the other prisoners. A heated exchange erupted between Cham and Ta, with each accusing each other of treachery. The situation escalated when Cham pointed a blaster at Ta. Desperate, Ta begged Rampart and Hauser to intervene, but Rampart remained unfazed, calmly stating that Cham was the one holding the blaster. With some persuasion from Hauser and Eleni, Cham reluctantly lowered his weapon. Seizing the moment, Rampart thanked Ta for playing his role and signaled Crosshair, who then shot one of Ta's Leku from a hidden position. Right as this happened, Imperial reinforcements arrived, leading to the capture of the Twi'lek fighters, though Hera and her droid Chopper managed to escape on a land speeder. Rampart then officially arrested Cham and the other insurgents, accusing them of attempting to assassinate Senator Ta. As Cham, Eleni, Gobi, Saren, and fellow fighter Lenk were taken away, Rampart instructed Hauser to mobilize his forces to track down Hera, before departing with the prisoners in a low-altitude assault transport. Shortly after, Vice Admiral Rampart and Captain Hauser walked through the detention block of the Capitol building in Lesu, Ryloth's capital. When they reached the cell holding Cham and Eleni, Rampart taunted Cham, remarking how the former liberator of Ryloth had now become a traitor after supposedly trying to kill Senator Ta. Cham countered that the people wouldn't believe the Empire's lies, but Rampart was confident that they would easily turn against him. Knowing that their daughter was still out there, Rampart questioned Eleni about Hera's whereabouts, promising to return her safely to them. However, Eleni, aware of how the Empire treated its allies, firmly stated that she would rather be his enemy, just as her husband now was. Rampart then ordered Hauser to scour the planet and arrest all of General Syndulla's supporters. When Hauser pledged to find Hera as well, Rampart informed him that Crosshair's squad was already on that mission. Later, Rampart addressed the citizens of Ryloth, announcing that those responsible for the attack on their senator had been captured and that Oren Free Ta would make a full recovery. However, Rampart wasn't satisfied with just a few arrests. He told Hauser that he wanted all of Cham's supporters captured, even if it meant arresting innocent citizens, insisting that peace comes with a cost. When Hauser later informed Rampart that the refinery was under attack, Rampart decided to handle the situation himself, ordering Hauser to guard the capital. After witnessing the capabilities of Crosshair's former team, Rampart granted him permission to hunt down his old squad mates. Decommissioning the cloning facilities. Kamino's traitors. At Tipoca City on Kamino, Crosshair reported to Vice Admiral Rampart that their operation was ahead of schedule. Pleased with the progress, Rampart ordered that every available clone be mobilized. As low-altitude assault transport gunships took off, a Kaminoan observed from a distance. When Crosshair expressed concern about the Kaminoans, Rampart reassured him that they had their orders, but advised keeping a close watch on them until the right moment. Later, Rampart confronted Prime Minister Lama Su, expressing his disappointment with the Kaminoans' lack of cooperation. He revealed that he'd been informed of a troubling issue. Nala Se, the Kaminoan chief scientist, had been caught gathering medical personnel in an attempt to flee. Although Lama Su pretended to be surprised, he quickly offered to determine an appropriate punishment. Rampart, however, made it clear that while he found the clone troopers to be overrated, he still valued Nala Se's scientific experience for the Empire's needs. On the other hand, he bluntly stated that Lama Su's political services were no longer required. With that, 2 elite squad troopers entered the room and arrested the Kaminoan Prime Minister for treason. Fate of Kamino. Upon landing at Tipoca City, Hunter was escorted off the ship by Crosshair and his elite squad troopers, where Vice Admiral Rampart awaited them, flanked by several clone troopers. Crosshair informed Rampart of his plan to intercept the rest of the Bad Batch upon their arrival. Rampart, addressing Hunter, remarked that the chaos his squad caused on Ryloth had caught his attention. He then left Hunter in Crosshair's hands, reminding him to stay on schedule. When ES-02 expressed her distrust of Crosshair and his old squad, Rampart coolly responded that if Crosshair's plan failed, they wouldn't have to worry about any of them anymore. He instructed her to keep a close watch on the situation. When Crosshair's plan ultimately failed, ES-02 reported the loss of control to Rampart. In response, Rampart ordered all remaining forces to withdraw and coldly commanded her to let the clones perish together. He then informed Admiral and Governor Tarkin that all essential personnel had been evacuated from Kamino. When Tarkin inquired about the chief scientist, Rampart confirmed that she was secured, and that the cloning technology was now under Imperial control. With everything in place, Tarkin gave Rampart the green light to proceed. Rampart ordered the crew of his Star Destroyer to move into position. Once an Imperial officer confirmed their alignment, Rampart commanded the gunners to bombard Tipoca City. After receiving confirmation that the city was completely destroyed, Rampart ordered the Star Destroyers to leave Kamino and rendezvous with the Imperial fleet. Covering up. Dealing with Wilco. After Clone Force 99's failed attempt to steal Count Dooku's war chest from his castle on Sereno, Rampart reviewed Clone Captain Wilco's report on the incident and decided to visit Sereno himself. Upon his arrival, Wilco informed him that 85% of the war chest had been recovered, and promised to ensure the full recovery of the cargo. However, Rampart made it clear that his visit wasn't due to the captain's performance in securing the treasure. Instead, Rampart was concerned about the mission report, which mentioned that the thieves were members of Clone Force 99, a unit believed to have perished during the fall of Tipoca City. Wilco, confident in his report, explained that Rampart's information was incorrect, as he had personally seen 2 members of the unit. Rampart, however, knew that this revelation could expose his failure to Tarkin, so he ordered Wilco to submit a revised report omitting any mention of Clone Force 99. When Wilco refused to falsify the report, Rampart coldly stated that he would handle it himself and then shot the captain in the chest with his RK-3 blaster, ensuring that the truth remained buried. Stationed on Coruscant, Rampart then returned to Coruscant, where he was assigned an office at the Imperial Inspectorate headquarters. After Crosshair was rescued from Kamino and brought back to Coruscant, Rampart assigned him to a squad under Commander Cody, whom Rampart knew only by his designation CC-2224. Their mission was to rescue Governor Groton, who had been taken hostage by separatist holdouts on the planet Desix. Impressed by Crosshair's success on Desix, Rampart soon entrusted him with another mission, this time alongside CC-1226, Imperial Defense Recruitment Bill, ensuring the bill's success. While stationed on Coruscant, Rampart proposed the Imperial Defense Recruitment Bill to the Imperial Senate. This legislation aimed to officially phase out the clone trooper army in favor of a volunteer army made up of conscripted civilians. The bill faced significant challenges, being rejected twice before reaching preliminary hearings. Senators Bail Organa of Alderaan and Tin Rapalmo of Terrace criticized the bill, arguing that the discussion of a new army was premature. Senator Rio Chuchi of Pantora also voiced concerns, advocating for fair representation of the clones who would be directly impacted by the bill. Despite support from corporate interests like Senator Ghani Raduli of the Intergalactic Banking Clan and a representative from the Commerce Guild, the vote was postponed. In a private meeting, Grand Vizier Maza Mehta warned Rampart that the Emperor was highly interested in the bill's success and would not tolerate failure. To ensure the bill's passage, Rampart took drastic measures. He assigned a clone assassin known as Clone X to eliminate Cade and Slip, two crew members from his Venator that had witnessed the destruction of Tipoca City and were threatening to testify before the Senate. Additionally, he met privately with Senator Chuchi, who was representing the clone's interests, and agreed to her demands and provisions to secure her support. However, Chuchi remained suspicious of Rampart. Her doubts were confirmed when Clone Force 99 infiltrated Rampart's Star Destroyer while it was being serviced in the Coruscant shipyard. They managed to steal the command log, which contained undeniable footage of the attack on Tipoca City, providing the proof needed to expose Rampart's involvement. Arrest. During the final voting session for the Imperial Defense Recruitment Bill, Senator Chuchi brought in former Kaminoan Senator Hallie Bertoni to testify before the Senate. Bertoni revealed that Rampart had been misappropriating funds from the Defense Finance Committee during the post-war era, using them to finance his War-Mantle bases and recruitments. The situation became even more damning for Rampart once Bail Organa arrived with the stolen command log, presenting it to the Senate. The log contained irrefutable evidence of Rampart's involvement in the destruction of Tipoca City, solidifying the objections to the bill and proving Rampart's guilt. Faced with overwhelming evidence, Grand Vizier Mas Ameda ordered Rampart's arrest. The Coruscant guards swiftly detained him and forcibly removed him from the Senate floor, despite his protests that he was merely following orders. In a calculated move, Emperor Palpatine used Rampart's actions to rally support for the bill, turning the situation to his advantage. Imprisonment. Forced labor. After his arrest, Rampart was stripped of his position and sent to an Imperial labor camp on the planet Erebus to serve his sentence. During his time in the camp, he grew out his facial hair, reflecting the harsh conditions he endured. Several months into his sentence, the Advanced Science Division invaded Pabu and captured Omega, leaving Clone Force 99 desperate to find a way to Tantus. Their initial plan to track Omega had failed when CX-2 ordered her searched, leaving the team without a lead. As they debated their options, Crosshair revealed that he knew of a potential way to find Tantus, though it was a last resort that he was reluctant to consider: former Admiral Rampart. At that moment, Rampart was being transported in an HVCW A9 turbo tank when Clone Force 99 launched an attack, eliminating the crew and intercepting the transport. Rampart, shocked to see the clones, initially feared that they were there to kill him. However, he quickly realized they needed him alive. When Crosshair explained that they were seeking the location of Tantus, Rampart saw an opportunity and offered the information in exchange for his escape from the planet. Escape. Clone Force 99 managed to evade their Imperial pursuers, but during the escape, Rampart attempted to grab a blaster only to be swiftly stunned by Crosshair. Once aboard the Providence, Crosshair demanded information about Tantus. Rampart admitted that he didn't know the exact location, as it was highly classified, but hinted that there was a loophole they could exploit. Sensing Rampart's slippery nature, Crosshair threatened him, doubting his sincerity. However, Rampart calmly assured him that threats weren't necessary, emphasizing that they were now on the same side and had a common goal: working with Clone Force 99. After their successful escape from Erebus, Rampart joined Clone Force 99 as they traveled to a cloning facility on Bora Vio, where they rendezvoused with Echo, who had secured an Imperial shuttle for their mission. Rampart revealed that Dr. Hemlock kept the location of Tantus a closely guarded secret, but any ship heading there would need clearance from Imperial Station 003 above Coruscant. He expressed doubt about the clones' ability to infiltrate the station, noting that the access codes changed with each rotation. The clones devised a plan to infiltrate the station disguised as Imperial soldiers, with Rampart posing as their captain. Although Rampart was displeased with the lowly rank, considering his former status as Vice Admiral, Echo reminded him that he'd already been demoted. Annoyed, Rampart grumbled about his dislike of working with clones. Upon reaching the station, Rampart used his temporary privileges to grant the team access to the station's manifest database. However, Echo quickly discovered that the targeted vessel's data was tagged for direct uplink, meaning they couldn't retrieve the information from inside the station. Crosshair, suspicious of Rampart, accused him of withholding this detail, but Rampart claimed he never paid much attention to technicalities. The team then decided to connect their stolen shuttle to a science vessel departing for Tantus. Rampart protested, insisting that this was not part of the plan he'd agreed to. Despite his objections, he accompanied the squad back to their shuttle, while Echo was tasked with sneaking aboard the science vessel and disabling its proximity sensors. Rampart, still against the plan, argued that they'd be shot down before they could get close enough and ordered Hunter to abort the mission. Hunter ignored him, confident in their strategy. As the science vessel prepared to jump to hyperspace, Rampart insisted they abandon the mission, pessimistically declaring that Echo had been likely captured or killed. However, Hunter's faith in his teammates paid off as Echo successfully disabled the sensors, allowing the team to latch onto the vessel and make their way to Tantus. Recaptured. As the clones arrived on Wayland and detached from the science vessel, they were immediately ambushed by Imperials who had anticipated their arrival. Their ship was quickly damaged by Alpha 3 Nimbus-class V-Wing starfighters, forcing them to evacuate as the ship plummeted toward the surface. Rampart, shocked at the plan to escape by jumping into the jungle below, hesitated out of fear. Hunter had to save him from being killed by this inaction, and Rampart survived the crash, albeit shaken. As they trekked through the jungle toward the Imperial base, Rampart, exhausted, leaned his head against what he thought was part of the scenery, only to realize in horror that it was actually a Dryax, a dangerous creature that woke up from his intrusion. Panicking, Rampart ordered the clones to shoot the beast before it could attack, but they refused, knowing that firing would reveal their location to the Imperials. Frustrated, Rampart argued that being eaten would be worse than being discovered, but the clones still held their ground and did not shoot. Their situation worsened when they encountered a patrol group sent by Hemlock. In the ensuing chaos, Rampart became separated from the group. In his panic, he tripped and was eventually found by a patrol of 3 TK troopers, leaving him vulnerable and isolated. Attempted escape and death. Rampart found himself detained in the facility's cells, where he was soon confronted by Dr. Hemlock, who criticized him for aiding insurgents. Rampart was taken aback by Hemlock's calm demeanor, especially considering that the supposedly secure facility had been breached by rogue clones. He suggested that the Emperor would likely be displeased by this failure. Hemlock dismissed Rampart's concerns, pointing out that all the time Rampart had spent on Kamino had been wasted because he failed to understand how clones think. Hemlock revealed that he had anticipated Clone Force 99 would eventually find Tantus in their efforts to rescue Omega. Rampart, however, couldn't comprehend why the young clone was so valuable to Hemlock. Hemlock, in turn, emphasized that unlike Rampart, he was indispensable to the Empire because of his projects. Rampart remained imprisoned until Echo and Omega arrived to free all the captives, including him. When Echo asked the freed clones if they would help rescue his brothers, Rampart objected, insisting that their best course of action was to flee the base. Echo firmly responded that clones never abandon their brothers and managed to rally the clones to assist in freeing the rest of the Bad Batch. After the clones left, Rampart followed Nalase to her laboratory, seizing an RK-3 blaster from a fallen TK trooper along the way. Curious about the mysterious Project Necromancer, Rampart demanded that Say explain everything about it. She told him that the project's significance could only be understood by Kaminoans. Recognizing that the Empire would do anything for this data, including trade for Omega's importance, Rampart decided to keep the information as a bargaining chip. However, when he shot and killed Nalase, she dropped an activated thermal detonator. As the device rolled to his feet, Rampart was caught off guard and perished in the resulting explosion. And that, my friends, is the end of Edmon Rampart. I hope you enjoyed the story of his life. What did you think of the video? What's your favorite part? Are there any other characters you'd like us to cover? Make sure you let us know down in the comments and subscribe for more like this. Thanks for watching.